Oops. Okay, welcome. Whoops. Okay, can you all hear me? Okay, so I can't touch that anymore. I think I might have broke that. All right, so we're gonna get started. Hopefully this works.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! Y'all ready for this?
All right, so I hope you're ready. That was a compliment of my child's Apple feed. So anyway, what we're going to do today is talk about mortgage loan originators, what's new in the news. And before we begin, it's a public service announcement. The exits are right behind you. If there's an emergency, please exit out the doors. We're going to go all the way out towards Queens Hospital on this side of the road. So, and whoever has our sign-up sheets, you need to bring the sign-up sheets with you, and we're going to check everyone in to make sure that you're all evacuated properly. So don't disappear if there's an emergency, because we'll have to report you as missing. Okay, the other thing is bathrooms, really important. They're out the door, down the hall, and then there's a door to the right, and it says restrooms right on the hallway. Men's and women's are down there. Okay, so here we go. All right, so today we're going to talk about a couple different things. We'll talk about new laws and regulatory requirements, common exam violations, I know that's what you all want to hear, and cybersecurity, and coming up, what's next for you. Okay, so just so you know, this is being recorded. We will post it up on the YouTube, DCCA YouTube site. I'll post it on our website. I'm not sure how long it's going to take, but it will be up there eventually. You'll get an email blast from us, and if you're following us on Twitter, that will probably be your first indication that the video is available. Okay, so the first new law. What I want to talk about first is Federal Law S2155. This law got into effect on May 24, 2018. So there are several provisions that will probably affect all of you. Section 102, and this is straight from the act itself. Section 102, safeguarding access to Habitat for Humanity homes. And this is effective immediately. So appraisal services donated voluntarily to the organization is eligible to receive tax-deductible charitable contributions. So if you're working with Habitat for Humanities and you're helping to do an appraisal, you can let the appraiser know that those services would be tax-deductible. Section 103, the exemption from appraisals of real property located in rural area. So there's no effective date for this, but regulations need to be promulgated, so I'm not really sure what the timetable is going to be. But those of you who are practicing or providing originating services in rural areas, a lot of times on the neighbor islands, you might have a hard time finding appraisers that are willing to do that in your timeline, or actually, it's appraisers in general. So it exempts mortgages of $400,000 or less in rural areas from appraisal requirements if the originator is unable to find a state-certified or state-licensed appraiser to perform the appraisal. So it's a matter of proof for you folks to figure out if you can meet this burden. I will let you know that the state of North Dakota has applied for a statewide exemption from this particular law. So if you're originating in North Dakota, that might be an option for you. Section 106, eliminating barriers to job for loan originators. So this one is called the Transitional Authority. This must be made effective within 18 months after the date of the enactment, and that's exactly what it says in the law. So the law will go into effect on November 24, 2019. Not before that, but right on that date. So what we're hoping is that NMLS, which you folks are all using for your licenses, that the NMLS will be ready, or there will be a license status in there available to anyone who is able to meet the requirements for the transitional authority. So there are two conditions under which you can apply for that transitional authority. You must be a registered loan officer who becomes employed by a state licensed mortgage company. So you're transitioning from a bank to a state licensed company. Or you are a state licensed loan originator who becomes employed by a state licensed mortgage company in a different state. So you're moving from state to state. So in order for this to work, you have to actually apply, and you'll have 120 days to meet the requirements for the transitional authority. Section 109. There's no wait now for lower mortgage rates, and there's no specific effective date for this one, but regulations are going to be needed to be promulgated to give this effect. So it removes a 3-day wait period required for the combined TILA-RESPA mortgage disclosure if a creditor extends to a customer a second offer of credit with a lower annual percentage rate. So notice I didn't call it, what's that word that everybody calls the TILA-RESPA? The TRID. So the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, Bureau of Consumer Finance, is that what it's called? Something like that. They changed their name. Used to be CFPB. They're now called the Bureau. The Bureau has let everyone know, all the regulators know, that we should no longer call that the TRID forms. It should all be referred to as the TILA-RESPA mortgage disclosures. All right, and what we're waiting for is for the Bureau to provide clearer guidance on the application of TRID. See, I'm still using it. So we'll wait and see what happens. Section 301, protecting consumers' credit. This goes into effect 120 days after the enactment, or September 21, 2018. So in maybe about a month. So this amends the Fair Credit Reporting Act to provide that credit bureaus will be required to include in the customer's file fraud alerts for at least a year, and to provide consumers unlimited free security freezes and removals for the security freezes. It's going to preempt our current law that was just passed this year, providing specific time periods for placing and removing the security freezes. Section 302, hope you're all not writing this down. The slide deck will be available. I'm sorry if I didn't say that. Section 302, protecting veterans' credit. Again, no specific date for the effective date, but regulations are required to give effect, and that government agency only has until May 2019 to promulgate those rules. It amends the Fair Credit Reporting Act to exclude from a consumer report certain medical debt incurred by a veteran and a fully paid or settled veteran's medical debt that has been characterized as delinquent, charged off, or in collection. So I think we'll be seeing those rules promulgated soon by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Section 309, protecting veterans. This one goes into effect November 20, 2018, so later on this year. It requires VA lenders to demonstrate a material benefit to consumers when refinancing their mortgage. And the Department of Veterans Affairs will create regulations to implement these provisions. So I haven't seen those published yet, but I'm sure they're coming soon, because they only have till November 20. Okay, let me stop quickly. This is not a break, but let me stop quickly and see if anybody has questions about federal laws, or just that one federal law that had a lot of implications possibly for you folks. No? Okay. State laws. Okay, so here's that state law that I was talking about, Act 22. This one was effective July 1, 2018, and it expanded the methods by which a consumer may ask for a security freeze. And these are for free security freezes or removals. So when the federal security freeze goes into effect, our state law will be not active anymore. Act 241, the medical cannabis program. So I realize that you folks are not doing this directly, but if you are providing residential loans to employees, I'm not sure if you've had experience with this, you might be having a difficult time trying to get them qualified with a bank. Banks are looking at the cash deposits, the in and outs from the accounts much more carefully, and they're looking at unexplained wealth. So if you're having a difficult time, cannabis is still illegal under federal law. I heard on the news this morning that it affects some of the political candidates who are receiving money from medical cannabis companies. The banks were closing those accounts also. All right, so here's our first quick break. Are there any questions about any of these laws and how they might affect you? Hopefully they won't affect you too much. No? Okay, we're going to take a quick break to reset our camera, and then we'll be back in like 2 minutes. Thanks.